Hey there, Grace Hart here, Beyond Domestic Violence Trauma Transformer, and this is part 2. The part 2 I did not know was going to be a part 2. I actually went for a walk in the forest and then had a bath, and I'm lying in the bath and I was thinking about you guys. And then I realized that there were 2 things that I really got was important to add to the podcast, and I'm not too much of a whiz with editing, so I just thought, heck, I'll just do another one. So this is part 2. If you have not listened to part 1, this is not going to make much sense to you. So please listen to the podcast before this one, and that will help you a lot. Or don't. It's your choice, but it's not going to make much sense to you. Okay, the 2 things that I missed was one is please do not use boundaries as a weapon or to control. That's not what boundaries are. So if you're saying or thinking things like, if he loved me or if she loved me, they wouldn't do this, or they wouldn't think that, or they would do this, right? That's not what we're talking about. So an example might be going to a tennis match. They have a boundary. If you want to go to the tennis match, you can't be talking on the phone or chatting or making loud noises when the players are playing. It's this space around it. That's it. That's if you want to enter, that's it, right? So they're not going, we are going to control you, we're taking your rights away. That's not the energy they're doing. They just are very clear on what works for the players and what works for the company or the organization. And if you want to enjoy to sit and watch, this is what you're required to do. Just like, intermission at a concert or the opera, for example, right? So when you just have boundaries, it has that energy, that space. Like, there's a tree, there's a boundary. But if you're using boundaries to push upon someone, like if you loved me, or there's just this my way or the highway, because this is my boundary, that's not what we're talking about. That's force, control, and manipulation. And it's not kind, it's abusive. Boundaries are truly no different to boundaries between countries or states. Right? And, if it's a situation like, for example, Mexico, so that you've got a boundary and not all boundaries get respected, hence why you have to have security. Because, there's going to be a percentage of the population that go, boundary? What boundary? They'll have their own set of rules. Those boundaries don't apply to me because I'm a psychopath. Okay, anyway, sorry, my brain's going, it's late. Anyway, well, it's not that late, but it's late for me. I don't normally do podcasts at nighttime. This is probably one of the reasons why, because my brain is like running at 1 billion miles an hour. Not that it's not running at 1 billion miles an hour during the middle of the day. It's just that I don't let you into my head, which is very, very busy with all sorts of possibilities and all sorts of things. Hence why you're in my, bath. It's like, it's everywhere. You're like Lucy. Okay, back to what I was saying. So it's like the boundaries of, going interstate and stuff. And so you have to be your own border security, You have to, right? You can't go hire somebody. So you need to be really clear. And that brings me to the second point. And the second point is, you ready? Drum roll. Get clear on what your like zero tolerance, your red zone. It's like no go. It's like, no one shall pass kind of, energies. So when you are aware of what your red zone is or your zero tolerance boundaries are, it's super important to A, know what they are, and B, know what you're going to do if they ever get violated or pushed back on. So you're not just kind of floundering going, oh, God, they've pushed back on my zero tolerance and now I'm really awkward and I don't know what to do, right? So some examples for me, my red zone, my zero tolerance boundary, the one that's, doesn't move, it's not okay, is violence. Don't accept violence. Drugs of any kind doesn't work for me. Abusive people, especially to children and animals, doesn't work for me. Zero tolerance. And then an unusual one I have is I need to feel free. If I don't feel free in my job or in my relationship, it doesn't work for me. I need to feel as though I'm not controlled. because I'm kind of, it's that energy where, my best friend calls me a conscious loose cannon. So it's like, yes, sometimes I need to aim fire and, it's just, I need to be free. I need to feel in relationship that I have that freedom. So, and relationship with, as I said, with anyone or anything, free to choose, free to act, free to be me, all of me. So, an example that I wanted to give you was with my first husband when he proposed to me. The ring, when he gave it to me, just felt weird. And so I asked him, I said, oh, hey, can you tell me the story about the ring? Because, I'm sure people are going to ask. And he basically just said, oh, it was my ex-fiance's engagement ring. And so I knew, inside voice, didn't share this with him. It was like, oh, that doesn't work for me, right? And so I said to him, I said, oh, okay. I said, can we sell it and then choose something, that I like? And I said it very kindly. I didn't just blurt it out like that. And he said, no. He said, that ring's a very expensive ring, and if we sell it, we're going to lose money on it. That doesn't work for me. Now, I didn't know what to do then. Now, of course, me now would have gone, cool, here's your ring back. Nice knowing you. See you later, right? But what happened with me, because I was traumatized and I didn't know it was a domestic violence relationship, I didn't realize, I went into people pleasing. And what I thought that looked like was me being mature, me being, okay, let's look at how we can create with this. And of course, really get this, guys, perpetrators choose people who are open to possibilities because they're more controllable, right? So I said to him, okay, so you're saying that we can't sell it and I really don't want to wear it. So how about we just I don't wear a ring because, it doesn't, money and rings and stuff don't mean anything to me. So I said, I'm cool not having a ring. And he said, no, I can't have that. I can't have people seeing you without a ring. And so then a deal was struck that anytime I saw his family and anytime I went to a work event, I would wear this ring. And so I thought I was being really mature and responsible and, looking after his needs as well as managing my own. It never occurred to me that that was grooming, that was control. Never occurred to me. So that's why it's super clear, guys, to get aware of what your zero tolerance boundaries are, as well as just the other boundaries that you have that are negotiable. Now, when I say are negotiable, what I mean by that is like the friend of mine that wanted to drop something around with a person that I didn't want that energy in my property. So what that looks like is you can have both your needs met. And so, if he had said to me, hey, it doesn't work for me. I really want this person, to come on the property. And I'll go, okay, well, that's cool. So I'll come and pick it up another time or, you can leave it at the letterbox. And so that's actually honouring his need to have that person with him at all times. If you put it in the letterbox, that works for me. So there's ways around what can get created, and it doesn't have a funk about it. It doesn't have a, if you cared about me or you're just being ridiculous, I'm only going to be on the property for a little while or, whatever it is, you've got to be clear on what's your negotiable and what's your not negotiable boundaries. Because the beautiful thing is when you have boundaries and you let the other person know, it's awesome. It's like, thanks for letting me know that I didn't have to guess. So this week, that's where I'd love you to be. I'd love you to look at what are your zero tolerance boundaries and what are your boundaries on other things that are important to you. And also get clear on if you get a pushback on your zero tolerance boundaries, what's a way that you can deal with that? And, depending on your safety situation, a paraphrase is really good. Just say, oh, thanks for letting me know. Okay, that won't work for me. And that can be your paraphrase. As I've said twice, oh, that doesn't work for me. Okay, as I said twice, it doesn't work for me, I'm going to go now. Super important for you to get clear. Now, I do want to say the person that I was when, I had that engagement ring is a different person to who I am now. And I get who you're, now as I'm talking, you might be listening and you might be like I was. You might be so desperate to people please. You might be traumatized. Please know you'll leave when you leave. You'll have the courage when you have the courage. Don't use it as a way to, perpetuate abuse on yourself. Be kind to yourself. And one of the most beautiful ways you can be kind is to develop boundaries and work the muscle. And if you have people that you trust in your life, maybe work on those boundaries with them. Do some role playing. Role playing is if someone, violated your boundaries, what you would say. So if that ever did happen, you'd know what to do. And, I was chatting to a friend about this. This point was in my head because we were laughing about how I've been married twice and I actually have never had an engagement ring because, when I was with my first husband, we, a couple of months later after that, we were in Singapore and I saw this ring and it was, we were just walking past a shop and it was like $100 Singapore and it was so cute. It was like, it just sparkled. It was like, hi, it was just this beautiful energy. And I saw it and I went, I said, can I have that? Like, can I wear that the rest of the time? And my heart was just like so happy to have found it, And he said, no, I can't have my future wife wearing $100 ring. And of course I went into people pleasing, like, oh, of course. Yeah, no, that would be bad for you. Oh, okay. And so this is where, please guys, if you knew what your boundaries were, then they can't be violated. Well, when I say they can't be violated, without you knowing what they are. And that's why it's really important for you to work the muscle and get to that energy that you are able to communicate when your boundaries are violated, whether they're zero tolerance ones or just the general boundaries. It's just lovely to be able to have a paraphrase or have worked that muscle. Now, there's lots of books on boundaries. I'm going to put some links in the section there of the podcast so you can find them. If you want to talk further about it, you're welcome to contact me at choosinggreater.com. All right, guys, have a beautiful rest of the week and please be kind to yourself. Don't judge yourself. You'll develop boundaries as you develop them. It's taken me quite a few decades to realize that I didn't have any, and it's a beautiful thing that I have them now. And and it's a whole new world. It's a whole new world, guys. And I know some of you listening might not be there right now. Just know that I got there. You can get there too. It's one step at a time. And one of the things that happens with domestic violence is we make it so solid and real, because it is. I get it. But what's required is some space and energy. Because as I've mentioned to you before, even if you know it's time to leave, if you don't have the energy, it's not going to happen. So work on bringing energy into your body and your energy field. Laughter, kindness are all beautiful things. And if you're willing to open up to more space and energy, what tends to happen is that solidity of it's never going to change, I'm never going to be able to leave, and all the fear, that creates a space around it. And when there's space, the molecules can move. And the crazy thing is, when you create space, that's when possibility shows up, because there's room for possibilities. And that possibility might be more energy for you. It might be bumping into, someone, or reading something, or hearing about something. I had a point of view that all police officers, couldn't hear me. And I made that solid. And it's just not true. I've met some beautiful police officers that are trauma-informed and get it. But when you're being perpetrated on, you actually take on their boundaries and you take on whatever it is that they want you to take on. And that can look like no one's going to believe you. You're the crazy person. So have your back as much as you can. Be kind to yourself. Get trauma-informed. If you haven't got a person to speak to about trauma, please do so. There's some great Facebook posts, pages, sorry. Find something and someone that works for you. Because there's nothing more powerful than a person who has built themselves back up. And, I'm a completely different person now. And I'm getting to know me more and more every day. Because when you're in a domestic violence relationship, you lose you. You maybe don't even have any idea who you are. I get it. And it's such a beautiful thing getting to know you. And part of getting to know you is having your back. And part of having your back is setting boundaries. So what are your boundaries? What are your red zero tolerance boundaries? And what would you do if they were pushed back on or violated? Let's work that muscle, hey? Okay, please know that you're loved. Please know that if you are being abused, you've been chosen because you are kind and special, and there's magic with you. Perpetrators, you might think that they're the powerful ones. They're not. It's actually you that has the power. They want you. They chose you for that reason. So let's, moment by moment, step by step, let's get there together. And I know it's possible because I'm free and you can be too. Okay, take care, guys, and have a beautiful week. What else is truly possible to move beyond domestic violence and to release the trauma in our bodies? I wonder. All right, be kind to you. Take care. Bye.